In today's episode of Fragrance Battle, a fight between Fragrance World, and Fragrance World. Hello friends, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. It's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content, and it's also time for another episode of Fragrance Battle. And as I said in the beginning of the video, today's episode will be a bit of a different one. Today I'm going to compare different scents from the same manufacturer. And in today's episode, that manufacturer is Fragrance World. Now, Fragrance World has gained quite a lot of traction recently in the past couple of years, and they have a few different sub-brands. They have what's supposedly the most budget-orientated sub-brand called Athoor Al Alam. Then they have the main brand, which is Fragrance World, and then they also have the higher end of line, which is called French Avenue. And in today's video, I've picked up a few pair of fragrances that are doing the same thing. Basically, they have been inspired or they are cloning the same scent, but are sold under, two different brands under the same manufacturer. The first pair of fragrances that I picked up for today's video are Amir Al Sahra, which is sold under Athoor Al Alam, and Vanille and Tobacco, which is sold under Fragrance World. And as you can probably guess, both fragrances are heavily inspired by Tobacco Vanille from Tom Ford. Now, they cost more or less the same, although Amir Al Sahra is a little bit more, cheap than compared to Vanille and Tobacco. And, more or less they're doing equally good of a job, when it comes to copying the original fragrance from Tom Ford. But as you can see, first of all, Vanille and Tobacco from Fragrance World has a pressurized atomizer, although the atomizer on Amir Al Sahra is also pretty decent. And the two scents are also pretty similar to each other, but I would say that Amir Al Sahra is a little bit more spicy, maybe has a slightly stronger cinnamon note, has a little bit less sweetness compared to the other one, and just feels slightly rougher. Vanille and Tobacco seems to be blended slightly better. It has slightly less harshness compared to the other fragrance. Has a little bit less prominent cinnamon note. The tobacco note feels a little bit of higher quality, and this is just a little bit sweeter. And at the end of the day, I would say that Vanille and Tobacco is actually the slightly better fragrance. It's slightly softer, feels slightly better blended, and seems to be slightly closer to the original fragrance compared to Amir Al Sahra. The next pair of fragrances that I've picked up for today's video again come from Athoor Al Alam and Fragrance World. The Athoor Al Alam is called Ishkat Al Layl Forever, and the one from Fragrance World is called Proud of You Oud. And again, as you can probably guess, both fragrances are heavily inspired by Stronger With You Oud from Armani. And again, more or less they cost pretty much the same amount of money. But again, I'll tell you the small differences that they have between them. First of all, the one thing that I don't like about Ishkat Al Layl is the fact that the cap is very, very loose. Other than that, I actually prefer the bottle design compared to Proud of You Oud. Let me show you the sprayer in action. The sprayer is a little bit on the weak side on Ishkat Al Layl. And then the one on Proud of You Oud is actually better because it's pressurized, it's like way, way better. And the scents themselves, again, both of them are quite similar to the original fragrance from Armani. But in this case, I would say that the main differences here are that the one that's from Athoor Al Alam is slightly sweeter. It has a slightly less prominent agar oud note. It maybe feels a little bit further away to the original compared to Proud of You Oud. Proud of You Oud has a little bit stronger agar oud note and generally feels a little bit closer to the original fragrance. And in this case, again, I would say that the better option in here will be Proud of You Oud, but not only because it's slightly closer to the original fragrance. The other thing really important here is the performance. Now, the one from Athoor Al Alam smells really nice. Unlike the first one that I showed you from that brand, this has absolutely no roughness. There's absolutely nothing, no problem at all scent-wise. But this one just does not perform. It smells very nice, but it's just this underperformer. Total longevity is not really that bad, but this really sucks when it comes to projection. On the other hand, Proud of You Oud has better longevity and also has way better performance. Projection, excuse me. So the next pair of fragrances, the next comparison may seem a little bit unfair to an extent, because again I'm comparing a fragrance sold under the Athoor Al Alam sub-brand, and then I'm comparing it with a fragrance that's sold under the FA Paris or French Avenue Paris, which is the higher end of line of fragrances. So here the price difference is quite big, but still both of them are inspired by the very same original fragrance and are manufactured by the same from the same brand. So that's why I'm going to compare them. As you can probably guess, this time around we're talking about clones of Dolce & Gabbana, the One Luminous Night. First of all, the one and only Moonlit Night is the full name of the fragrance from Athoor Al Alam. Has a really, quite a bad atomizer. It's been like that since day one. And then the one on Lumière Garçon is way better, as you can see. And the two scents themselves, in the air they smell pretty similar to each other and pretty similar to the original fragrance. But one problem that I've had with the Moonlit Night, the one and only, it's I hate the name as well because it's quite hard to pronounce, is the fact that this fragrance smells very synthetic, especially in the opening, especially in the first 5 to 10 minutes. I almost cannot stand the opening of this fragrance. It's so synthetic up close. In the air it smells quite, alright, but up close it's almost unbearable for me personally. On the other hand, Lumière Garçon actually smells way better, way more balanced, way better blended. It just smells of way higher quality compared to the Athoor Al Alam fragrance. When it comes to how close they are to the original scent, both of them in the air smell very similar to the original, but Lumière Garçon also up close smells very similar to the original fragrance, where, as I said, Moonlit Night, the one and only, smells very synthetic up close. Now, after about 10-15 minutes, when this starts to settle down on your skin, this actually becomes a little bit better. But again, the opening is highly synthetic, and I just cannot stand it. So again, if I have to pick up a winner between these two, it will undoubtedly be Lumière Garçon, because it's a super high quality clone of Dolce & Gabbana, the One Luminous Night, and just smells way better compared to the other one. Yes, it's more expensive, like 2 or 3 times more expensive, but in here I think the price difference is worth it. The next pair of fragrances are Cocktail Intense, sold under Fragrance World, and Raw Blend, sold under the French Avenue sub-brand. Now, both of them are clones of Kilian's Angel Share, and both of them are actually really nice. Now we're getting into a territory where the both fragrances actually smell quite nice. Now, first of all, Cocktail Intense. This was the first clone from Fragrance World, the first Angel Share clone from Fragrance World that hit the markets, and it's to this day remains a very good alternative for those of you who are looking for an Angel Share clone. A little bit later on, probably about a year later, came Raw Blend, which is sold under French Avenue, and it's more expensive, but it's better. Although Cocktail Intense is a really nice fragrance, I really like it a lot. I do think that in this case, again, the more expensive one, Raw Blend, smells better. It just smells closer to the original fragrance compared to Cocktail Intense. Cocktail Intense is a nice, slightly sweeter, slightly lighter alternative to Angel Share. You get a hint of the booziness, but not as strong as you get with the original fragrance. Other than that, the sweetness is pretty much the same. The spiciness and everything else, it's pretty much the same, or very similar to the one that you get with the original fragrance. But the Raw Blend actually gets the booziness, that cognac note from the original fragrance, almost completely spot on, and this just smells closer to the original fragrance. Also, this smells like a little bit of a high quality, slightly higher but still higher quality, and it's also it smells like having a higher oil concentration compared to Cocktail Intense. Performance wise, again here raw blend is a lot better when it comes to performance. This lasts for a very long time, projects really nicely. Cocktail Intense is more on the softer side. It's still performance wise is above average, but definitely in here raw blend is the better performing fragrance, and all around this is the better choice. And the last pair of fragrances that I'm going to compare in today's video are Suits, sold under Fragrance World, and then Igra, sold under French Avenue. Both fragrances are heavily inspired by YSL Tuxedo. Again, Suits was released probably over a year ago, and it's one of the better known and one of the better clones of Tuxedo that you can currently get still to this day. It's a very nice alternative to Tuxedo. Smells pretty similar to the original fragrance, has good atomizer. But I've always found that Suits is like a slightly sweeter, slightly less spicy version of the original fragrance. Other than that, getting the scent profile, you know, very close to the original one. Smells very nice, very sort of a classic masculine fragrance with a hint of a barbershoppy vibe. You get the rose, you get the patchouli, you get the vanillic sweetness, you get the spices. But again, just feels like a slightly softer and you know, like a softer and slightly sweeter version of Tuxedo. On the other hand, Igua, this is one of the later releases from French Avenue. This again, just like any other case before this, any other pair before this one, the one that's more expensive just smells better, just smells of higher quality. This has more spiciness compared to you know, to Suits. It has a stronger rose note, it has a stronger patchouli note, and just overall has you know, better quality. Still, this feels slightly softer than the original fragrance itself, slightly less spicy, but it's you know, closer to the original one compared to Suits. Performance wise, Suits is not the best performer in the world, still it will be above average, but nothing spectacular. Igua is a little bit better. I'm still testing this one out, but I cannot say that I'm like hugely impressed by the performance, but it's still better than Suits. But this is the case where I would actually tell you that again, we're talking about the price difference of pretty much double the price, or in fact over twice more expensive when it comes to Igua. And in this case, I would actually advise you to go with Suits if you're looking for a clone of Tuxedo and you're buying a clone made from Fragrance World. Yes, Igua has slightly better quality, it has a slightly better performance, it's slightly closer to the original fragrance, it comes better packaged, but at the end of the day, I think the better deal here, just you know, simply looking down to the price ratio, the ratio of price versus quality and closeness to the original fragrance, I would say that you should go with Suits. And at the end of the video, just a few final words about the topic of today's video. Fragrance World as a brand have improved quite a lot in the past few years. They've gained quite a bit of attention, quite a bit of hype, and for a good reason. They make some very good fragrances, some very good alternatives to the original scents that they have been inspired by. They have 3 different sub-brands that are sold at 3 different price levels, and generally speaking, the further you go up the pricing ladder, meaning instead of going with something made from Athoor Alam, you go with Fragrance World, or instead of something that is sold under the Fragrance World brand, you go with something from French Avenue, you're better off basically. You're getting higher quality, you're getting better performance, you're getting a better presentation and all that stuff. So yeah, at the end of the day, the more money you spend on a certain fragrance, the better quality you will get. So guys, in today's episode of Fragrance Battle, I compared a total of 10 scents that are made from Fragrance World but are sold under 3 different sub-brands from the same manufacturer. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.